Here is the latest Higher Summits forecast brought to you by our friends at the Mount Washington Observatory.
Weather above treeline in the White Mountains is often wildly different than at our trailheads. Before you hike, check the Higher Summits forecast at mountwashington.org. Weather observers working at the nonprofit Mount Washington Observatory write this elevation-based forecast every morning and afternoon. Search and rescue teams, avalanche experts, and backcountry guides all rely on the Higher Summits forecast to anticipate weather conditions above treeline. You should too. Go to mountwashington.org or text forecast to 603-356-2137.
Hello, listeners. Nick here with your forecast for the weekend of August 23rd, 2025. Friday. In the clear under mostly sunny skies. High around 50. Wind southeast shifting east at 15 to 30 miles per hour. Wind chill falling to 30 to 40 above. Friday night. In the clear under mostly clear skies. Low upper 40s. Wind southeast shifting northeast at 15 to 30 miles per hour. Wind chill falling to 30 to 40 above. Saturday. Mostly in the clear, trending towards partly in the clouds under mostly clear skies. High, mid-50s. Wind, northeast, shifting north at 15 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 50 miles per hour, increasing to 25 to 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 55 miles per hour. So it's looking like a great day Friday to get out. Great start to Saturday. Perfect for hiking. Go crush some peaks and be safe. Bye, everybody.
Broadcasting from the Woodpecker Studio in the great Live Free or Die state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast, where we discuss all things related to hiking and search and rescue in the White Mountains of New Hampshire and beyond. Here are your hosts, Mike and Nick.
Right, we are recording, so anything we say can be used against us, Nick. Nick, I'm solo. Welcome to episode 206. I am solo tonight. I got the house all to myself.
That must feel strange for you. I feel like there's got to be always someone there, right? Usually, between your daughters and your wife.
There's usually someone there, but
boyfriends.
they're and Brittany, you can probably fill me in on this. So they all they get a little weird because my two youngest are going back to college. So we're driving down to North Carolina on Saturday, but they all decided to go get like matching tattoos. Do you know about this? That's a thing apparently?
With daughters and moms or friends?
Yeah, Mrs. Mike and the three girls are all going to get matching tattoos tonight.
Yeah, I know quite a few people who have done that with their moms. I don't think my mom's not the tattoo type, but I probably do it with her if she asked.
Yeah. I just told her, I was like, don't put it anywhere visible. I don't know what they're doing, but...
Did Mrs. Mike already have tattoos at all? Or is this the first one?
She's got one tattoo from when she turned she was like 18 or something like that.
So it's been a while. Yeah.
It's discreet, but...
They didn't want you to partake either? It could be like a family tattoo.
They they sort of threw it in at the, they all had their plans and then they threw it in at the, oh, you can come if you want. But I don't think they want me there because I'm just going to be like, don't put it there. Don't put it there.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So that's it. So they're all the Mike family members are losing their mind this week for some reason. So.
We could get SLASRPodcast tattoos or something. I don't know if I'm that invested yet, but I feel like you and Stomp definitely should have some.
I got a couple of tattoos when I turned 18, and I got all like gung-ho on like Irish pride stuff and got like a shamrock, and this is stupid. Matter of fact, I want to look to see if I can get them removed at some point. So
I think it's a rite of passage. I'm French Canadian, so the day I turned 18, I went to the tattoo shop and got a fleur-de-lis on my foot because I'm French Canadian. Cool. So and now it's like, oh my God, why did I even do that? But you just gotta make some mistakes along the way. But I have heard that laser removal is terrible and it hurts 10 times more than getting the tattoo itself. So
I know.
Definite punishment for deciding to change your mind.
It's probably like 10 times more expensive than the actual getting the tattoo as well. So
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I've just got this little NH48 one, but hopefully I don't regret that one anytime soon. But me and Ash, my wife, both got those when he finished. It's pretty small.
I love that.
Most people don't notice that. Hopefully they don't change it to like 47 or something. Yeah. Watch they'll make it like 49. I'll be like, oh crap.
They're going to finally get rid of Tecumseh and be like, no, I'm just kidding.
Like, the NH47. No, I think they'll keep it.
We'll just overwrite it. So, all right. Well, anyway, I'll report back. Maybe I'll throw a picture of one of the tattoos up on the Instagram story when they get it. So,
nice.
All right. So, welcome to episode 206 of the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast. So this week, Brittany is here. So that's that mystery voice that's been talking. So Brittany Wassick. Is it Wassick? Did I say it the right way?
Yep. Polish. You got it.
Brittany is back. She's been on, this is your third time here, and then you've been on the PUDS podcast a few times. So Brittany is the one of the organizers behind the Taylor James Steeves Foundation. So she's joining us as we gear up for Tay's Summit Challenge of 2025. Nick has been, what place did Nick come in last year, Brittany?
I think Nick, total points, I think he came in third place, which absolutely crushed it. But he does some pretty hard work every year for us.
Right.
Yeah, I was harkening back. They were still up, but yeah, I'm like, because I was thinking, I'm like, how much am I going to try to hit this year? But I don't know. Last year was pretty good. It was a lot. So
yeah, well,
there's
you
nothing
didn't
like
have a baby
first
on the way either. But
yeah.
But anyway, so Nick has been a past participant. I'm signing up this year, and so we're going to talk with Brittany about that, and then she's just going to hang out. She's going to give her perspective on stuff here. So we're going to do a deep dive. Nick just did a recent single day Pemi, so we'll cover the highs, lows. We'll cover the South Twin Sufferfest climb and the Lincoln Woods March of Death that he'll go through there. So if you're thinking about doing a Pemi Loop, we've got you covered. And then I'm going to do a trip report from the Baldface Range, and then I'm going to give some info about my first official trail maintenance work. So spoiler alert, it was hard. And then we've got notable listener hikes. We've got recent search and rescue. New Hampshire continues to be busy with rescues this summer. We got medical emergencies. We got exhausted hikers. We got injured hikers. We got hikers everywhere, Nick. So I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get started.
Let's get started!
All right, Nick, let's move into our friend Christina's segment here on Wild Raven Endurance Coaching.
All right, let's do it.
Hi, I'm Christina from Wild Raven Endurance Coaching. I work with athletes of all levels, from hikers to triathletes, helping you reach your goals with personalized guidance. With years of experience hiking, mountain biking, and trail running across New England, I also have a deep knowledge of the New Hampshire 4,000 footers and the surrounding trails. Whether you're a beginner hiker or a seasoned athlete, I'll guide you towards your goals, reducing injury risk and improving your performance through smart, tailored coaching. Are you looking to transition from hiking to mountain running? I'm here to make that journey easier too. My approach combines strength training, mindfulness, and life balance on and off the trail. Let me help you find more joy in your sport while getting stronger and healthier along the way. Visit www.coaching.christinafolsick.com and start your adventure today.
All right. So if you are looking to get in shape, you can reach out to Christina and Wild Raven, and they will hook you up. So, Nick, I wanted to start this episode with some hiking drama. So, Brittany, you might have some thoughts on this too. I usually don't do this, but I was on Facebook and I saw this post from, I guess I can call them out, like the trail name's IKEA and Smokey. So apparently there's like a celebrity cat that's hiking the Appalachian Trail. Have you heard about this?
I have not, but then again, I haven't been looking for it, I guess. So.
Right. So, and I haven't really been paying much attention either, but this guy has been hiking the Appalachian Trail. It sounds like he might have somehow like come across this stray cat, and the stray cat like became like his hiking buddy. So they're like IKEA and Smokey, and I think Smokey is the cat, and it looks like it's like a gray cat. So it looks like a cat that would be named Smokey. But apparently this guy posted on the Appalachian Trail Hikers 2025 group, so I guess it's up for grabs here, that he had some kind of a blowout between him and the imp campsite caretaker. So he got mad at her and yelled at her, and I guess he like apologized and said, "You didn't deserve to be on the tail end of my anger." But I guess apparently he reached his limits with the White Mountains at this point. So he said he's tired of the undertone comments made by other hikers over his cat. And he also had a beef with some of the like hut members or whatever, said that they weren't treating him well. So the rule is you can't bring animals into the AMC hut. So it's pretty black and white, and it's pretty fair. And I think that his issue is he's like, everyone's saying that like they may be allergic to cats and that I'm not being considerate. And then I guess the guy smoked cigarettes too, and he got yelled at for smoking cigarettes. So just having a bad time in the White Mountains here. But I'll link this in the show notes so people can check it out. But I thought it was kind of interesting. He's just kind of going off about just how miserable his time was in the White Mountains. But he did say he's going to try to do better. He apologized to the imp shelter caretaker on the Facebook, and he said he hopes that he can be forgiven for his actions. So it's kind of weird. Like he apologized, then he came up with a bunch of different excuses.
It's incredibly passive aggressive.
Yes,
it's incredibly passive aggressive. Right. I also enjoyed about I did not choose to take. He misspelled choose, but anyways, I did not choose to take a cat hiking with me. God and the universe had other plans for me.
Yes.
So I wonder what happened. Something crazy must have happened between this guy and the poor AMC caretaker. Oh boy.
I don't know. Reading through the notes, this was his second blow up apparently, so he might have some anger issues.
I'm envious.
They make it pretty clear though. Yeah. I've had to change my plans because of pets for any of the huts or anything like that. So can't say I'm too surprised.
Yeah. So no dogs, no cats allowed. In the matter of fact, I saw I think it was Nobby. No, it wasn't Nobby's dog. Did Knox? I was at the Lakes of the Clouds, and a dog just busted in and like just started running around, and didn't care about the rules whatsoever. But they kicked him out.
It's interesting. So reading, I'm going to be sending that RMC book to you too, and we're going to have the editors on very soon. But a lot of the RMC huts had cats in them, or at least they'd take cats up in the winter and stuff to catch rodents and things like that. So
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of like ships and stuff. But yeah, I don't think they welcome outside cats though. But anyways, just jogged my memory.
I know that the RMC huts will also allow dogs. I mean, they did last time I was in there, but they have to be like. They can't be asshole dogs. They have to be well behaved.
Yeah. Can see all the things that opens you up to, though. So it makes sense.
Yeah. The last time I was at Grey Knob, there was a dog that was sleeping under the table, and I think I was in that hangout room for like an hour or two, and he didn't even have any idea that there was a dog in there. Until the dog I think the owner took the dog out to go to the bathroom before he went to sleep, and I was like, I had no idea it was a big dog too. So it's the kind of dog
it always makes sense initially. Everybody wants their pets there, but if you've ever interacted with pet owners in public, you know that not all are the same. And I feel like that just opens the door for some poor pet owners to be in there.
Yeah. So, well, good luck to Cat Guy and Smokey the Cat. Hopefully you'll finish, and I can guarantee that the Mahuziks will be much less drama for them, and no one's going to bother them.
Yes.
All right, Nick. This is your moment. We're going to skip around a little bit, and I wanted to just jump right into your single day Pemi Loop. So do you want to talk to the audience and tell everyone about your amazing accomplishment?
Sure. And feel free, any questions or whatever. I typed a bunch of notes here because just while it was fresh. But yeah, I ended up doing a single day Pemi Loop. I've been talking about it, I think, with even Mike, I think for the past few years. I'm like kind of been looking at doing it. Kind of was doubting myself and then being like, we did a single day Prezi 3 weeks ago. And I found my cousin Jay was kind of willing to do it. And just the way the weather and timing worked out, we figured we'd tackle it. So single day Pemi Loop, I feel like most of our listeners probably know what that is, but if you don't, it's generally most commonly done from the Lincoln Woods Trail. So you actually leave from Lincoln Woods up Osseo towards Flume. You do the entire Franconia Ridge. Then you head over Garfield Ridge Trail over Garfields and all sub peaks over there. You head to Galehead Hut, and then you head up to South Twin, and then you head from South Twin down Twinway across to Geo, and then out across the Bond and Bondcliff. Traditional route, you don't really do any of the spurs like Galehead or West Bond, but there's so many variations of this route. There's double Pemis, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. But the standard route is around 31.5 miles, and most books have around, or I'd say guides that I looked up online have it at around 150 feet. I got more on my watch, so watches I know are imperfect. I will say that my watch is usually pretty spot on with the White Mountain guide. I got closer to in the ballpark of 10,000 feet of gain. But either way, it's a really long day. A lot of people choose to do it over multiple days, whether it's one overnight or two overnights. We chose to tackle it as a single day, kind of how I'd wanted to tackle it and how I'd envisioned it over the past few years and trying to do it. So yeah, we started at 3:30 a.m. in the morning at Lincoln Woods. We finished right around 8 o'clock at night that night. And we were super fortunate that my cousin Sarah Beth and our friend Peter, who just finished the redlining of the White Mountain Guide, actually hiked out and did all 3 bonds. And then Sarah Beth waited for us on Bondcliff. Peter was waiting for us, but he kind of was doing a day trip, so he ended up sort of bouncing early. And admittedly, I thought we were going to get to Bondcliff quicker than we did. It's a long day, to say the least. And the one thing I would absolutely do it again, but it was definitely warmer than either of us anticipated. I think the high in Lincoln was probably like around 86. It was dry. It wasn't humid like it was earlier in the week. But especially around the Garfield Ridge Trail section, we really were baking. And I think we ended up, both of us drank between probably like 11 to 13 liters of water, 10 to 12 liters of water, something like that. And that includes like electrolyte. I had liquid IV mix. I think Jay had like Scratch or those Noon tablets. So we were drinking stuff with like salt and whatever in it. So yeah, that was kind of long-winded summary of how we sort of got into it, but it was a really outstanding day. Besides being a little warm, it was absolutely beautiful. We had amazing views all day. We saw sunrise on Flume. I think we got up there maybe a few minutes after the sun just poked up over sort of towards the east, and just started with a really nice red sunrise, go across all of Franconia Ridge. The temperatures at that point were pretty good. And by that point, I'd already done the ridge. I hadn't gone down past Lafayette. So Lafayette basically to Garfield was entirely new trail to me. Really rugged section coming down Lafayette. And that's kind of where the temperatures creeped up a little bit, going up the backside of Garfield. And then the whole Garfield Ridge Trail, I think everybody I talked to, including like you, Mike, had warned me about that. It's a sneaky, difficult section of trail. The Garfield Spring after that section, it kind of just drops down and it gets very rocky. And while there's nothing particularly crazy on it, we just made slower time. Like I was looking at our pace later on, and that was absolutely the slowest section we were on. And then as Mike alluded to, and before, the other big thing I should say that everybody talks about is the climb up South Twin. And I didn't mention too, but most people choose to tackle it clockwise. It's the most common direction because you end up getting more elevation done with earlier mileage in the hike. Whereas if you're doing it counterclockwise, and this was very obvious to Jay and I when we were coming down, but if you do it counterclockwise, you're sort of left with a like 800-foot climb up Garfield and then like a 1,500-foot climb just up to Lafayette at probably around mile 20-ish, whereas we were probably at South Twin with about 7,500 feet or so done around mile 17 or whatever. And then after that, you go like 1,000 feet or so out to the Bond. So it's quote unquote easy after you sort of get up South Twin. Right. But yeah, so it was a fun, challenging, interesting day. I think it took us just a little over 12 hours to get to Bondcliff. and I think we're out just about 16 and a half hours total, something like that. We did stop for, and I want to shout out to our friend Peter for, I'd bought some beers for us to stash in the river to have on the way out, and Peter brought those in and stashed them for us, and they were amazing on the way out, nice and cold, and we chilled there for probably like half an hour on Lincoln Woods before we went out. So kind of took our time getting out, but just a great day. Still like processing it. It's amazing to me. Like I have a lot more respect for like everybody that's ever said they've done that. And also the people that are out there blasting fastest known times of like 5.5 hours or doing double Pemis in like 20 hours. Like it's insane. Like you are an absolute beast if you can go out there and do a Pemi. We saw some trail runners out for sure. It didn't seem like we crossed a ton of people doing the Pemi Loop that day. Certainly crossed a lot of people on the trail in general, but it was cool too, just chatting with people where people are kind of like, oh, where are you coming from? And we're at like South Twin. They're like, oh, Lincoln Woods. And they kind of get the vibe that you're doing a Pemi Loop.
Did you have any parts of the trail that stuck out to you as, because I know in the Pemi Loop, like I had a couple of sections in particular where I was like, oh, wow, this is a really cool area of trail that I don't get to too often. Was there anything that stuck out to you?
For sure, coming down from Lafayette, going like over the North Lafayette section was, right. I was looking back, it was absolutely gorgeous. Like I had my camera with me too. And so I was like trying to snap pictures, trying to keep moving. But that section in particular, I've looked at it from far away, like on the highway a bunch of times, but it was cool to be like, oh, this is what that looks like up close. That was beautiful. And the other section of trail that was just really nice was coming down South Twin along Twinway until you hit like in Gio, I hadn't been out to. And since we did the bonds originally back in, I think 2018 or 2017, maybe. So it was cool. That whole area where you go down Twinway, the woods is just nice. It's very mossy. It's very lush, even with the lack of rain that we've had, and pretty easy going. And then, yeah, when you come out to Gio, it's just absolutely beautiful to see like everything around you. You see sort of the Mount Bond and stuff lurking in front of you, and you can kind of get peaks to Washington. But those definitely stuck out as sections that I hadn't done before. The Garfield Ridge Trail was memorable for different reasons, and I'll remember it, but wouldn't be rushing back to it.
I think the other part that I would say is like kind of what you were talking about with Lafayette, North Lafayette, but as you drop down after like Skookumchuck, and then you're heading towards Garfield Pond, but before you get to Garfield Pond, there's that like incredible like mossy section of trail. Did you remember that? Not particularly. I know that when we headed up, and it's funny, like Jay was kind of teasing me because I'm like, there's some up and downs here, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, they're just unnamed bumps, but there's like east and I think west Garfield, but you hit that before you actually hit this formal sum of Garfield. But there's like a bunch of up and downs, and they had just from like, it must have been like microbursts or something, but there was a couple areas where it was completely clear and you could just see Franconia Ridge behind you, and then you could actually look out into the Pemi Wilderness and sort of see across to Owl's Head and stuff. Yeah. Garfield Pond was pretty too. We did skip down there and just check that out. Wouldn't want to filter water from that unless I really had to. It was pretty boggy. Yeah. It doesn't move much. That's kind of like when we had to filter water from Unknown Pond. It's not great.
Yeah.
Did you manage your water okay? Did you feel like you carried too much or not enough? Or?
I would say we managed it pretty okay. We both drank, like I thought, so I carried 3 liters. I had 2 1.5.
You started with 3 liters.
Yeah, I started with 3 liters.
6.5 pounds of water.
Yeah, about. Jeez. So 3 liters, 2 1.5 liter smart water bottles, so I could easily just filter it if we had to. Jay had 1 liter smart water bottle, so he could use for filtering. And he had a 3 liter bladder on him, so he had about 4 liters of water. He pretty much made it to Galehead Hut without getting any, but I filtered water. I wouldn't say I was felt like I was super dehydrated, like we're like in danger of being dehydrated. And we didn't have enough, but I was quite thirsty, sucked down 3 liters, like no problem, and then filtered and probably drank like a liter or 2 at Garfield Spring before we got to Galehead Hut. And then we drank a bunch at Galehead Hut. And then filled up basically 3 liters with me. And then he filled up, I think probably around 3. He didn't fill up his bladder entirely. But that got us pretty much to the very bottom section of Black Brook off Bond Cliff. So the top section wasn't flowing at all. It was bone dry. And Garfield Spring itself, probably worth noting, was not flowing very heavily. I was able to find a spot below, kind of in the rocks where you could get water. But I've gone down there before and never just went past it to get water, and it was not flowing. Like it's more like a river stream. Like it was trickling. It's just really dry up there right now.
So for listeners, then your advice is essentially in the dead of summer.
Yeah.
It's if you're gonna go clockwise, then clockwise, then you're basically take the 3 to 4 liters of water or liquid, and then that's going to get you to Galehead.
Yeah, I would say
stop at Garfield Pond or play around with.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's tough to say. I know some people drink less water than others. That's what worked for me, and that was also with hydration stuff. While it wasn't humid and warm, like I certainly could see a lot of people we crossed, and also a lot of people Sarah Beth and Peter crossed on the bonds were concerned about water. So it was dry and warm up there. I mean, again, it's like mid-August. The humidity wasn't bad, but everything's super dry right now. Like you're not going to find. I mean, these are springs. I don't know what Gio looked like. We didn't go down there because we didn't have to. But like barely trickling. Like there's just not much water flow up there. And Black Brook, like the whole top section until you got to like maybe below 2,000 feet, it was flowing. But the whole top section of it's just bone dry. There's nothing right now. So yeah, that was the biggest concern in my mind. I mean, I think I was talking to like Stomp and talking to other people about it, and I was glad we took 3 liters. I thought we were kind of heavy in the beginning, going out with 3 and 4 liters, but that worked out perfectly. And by that point too, I mean, once you hit South Twin, we cameled up. You got like maybe 1,000 feet or something to gain left going over the bonds. It's not too bad, so you're not going to sweat as much, and odds are you're going to be later in the day. If you're at like a reasonable pace, I guess, like we were. So you're not going to be sweating as much. But I would think on a fall day or something like that, or maybe even an earlier spring day, it's probably a little bit better.
And then maybe I missed this when you were talking about this, the spurs. Did you do West Bond? Did you do Galehead? You didn't do any of those?
No, we didn't do any of the spurs. We got to Galehead, and Jay kind of was like, whatever you want to do. And by the time that we got to Galehead, Sarah Beth and Peter got to Bondcliff. They cruised to Bondcliff. I forget exactly. I think they started a little around 6 and they got to Bondcliff, I think like 10:15 or something, which you thought would be a little bit slower than that. So we kind of were like at that point, like we need to like
hustle,
drink a bunch of water and get our butts up South Twin for that 1,000-foot 0.8 mile climb.
Right.
And after that, like we both were like kind of, I think we got in our heads a little bit at that point too about it, but it's like we actually went a bit pretty quick. I think it took us like 30 or 40 minutes. We just were kind of grinding out. We're like, we're just going to get up here. And after we did, we were like, okay, like, you're kind of good for the rest of the day at that point.
Yeah.
Which held true. But yeah, and then again, we were just trying to meet Sarah Beth, and I'll be honest, in complete transparency too, like both of us were so beat that like I wasn't going to argue about going up West Bond or going up Galehead at all.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits I think of doing it in like an overnight is that you can get all those little spurs and you don't feel so much pressure. But it is cool to do a one day though.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience. Definitely would do it again. And I thought it was interesting. I did kind of compare just some stats from comparing to do a single day Prezi about literally exactly 3 weeks from when we did the Pemi. The book times are a little bit similar. So book time for a Prezi Traverse is around 14 hours. Book time for a Pemi Loop is 20 hours. And that's kind of off the standard formula that they use to measure book time. So with the Pemi Loop, the biggest thing, like I could get into more stats, but I'm sure we'll end up doing a So You Want a Pemi Loop one day in a Prezi. But the biggest thing that I think compared to, and how I would compare it to a Prezi Traverse if you've never done a single day Pemi Loop, because I've done 2 single day Prezis, it's basically like if you got to Washington and then someone just rolled up all the elevation gain for the rest of the hike up Monroe and Eisenhower, like that 1,000 feet of gain, and just slammed it in your face. Like when you're basically over halfway mileage, like in the Prezi Traverse, it's like, I think it's just different. The terrain, both me and Jay agree that the terrain overall in the Prezi is more difficult with the rocks and stuff that you have there. The Pemi Loop, I think, has sections where Twinway where it's moss and dirt. Like there's almost nothing like that on a Prezi Traverse that you encounter. But that was kind of the biggest thing that struck out to me is that South Twin climb. There's a reason a lot of people talk about it. I think once you do it mentally too, like we were just in a better mood. We're like, okay, like we're good. Just get out to the bonds. It's a long walk out at that point.
Right. And then I think with Peter stashing the beers at the did he do it all the way out at the
no,
like that junction of
no.
Where did he stash him?
So he did it about probably 2.5 miles from the trailhead. So he did it a little bit further. It's funny because me and Jay were both thinking he did it at the junction. Then Sarah Beth's and this was actually smart for them thinking of if they were planning to store anything cold in a river. But the water levels were so low. Peter was actually like, well, what if we get there and the water's not running or something and we have nowhere to put them? So that was good thinking on their part, because that's not something I would have considered. So they found sort of a tributary to the Pemi, about 2.5 miles out off the rail bed. So we had to hike a little bit longer.
Must have made the death march a lot easier, I would imagine.
It definitely got us through the last 2.5 miles pretty quickly.
Yeah, because that part is horrible. I get.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was funny too. My cousin Sarah Beth, and I wanted to say congrats to her. Jay had never been out to any of these peaks, so congrats to both of them. But Sarah Beth doing the bonds out and back in a day in its own right is a big hike. Like anybody that's done that knows. So I was kind of like, congrats. And I think it didn't hit her, I think, till the week before that. She's like, oh, like I'm doing like 22 miles or something, and you guys are doing like 31. She was joking. She's like, I'm just to meet you guys. She's like, can you guys find something next time where I can hike in like 3 miles to meet you guys and walk out rather than like 9 miles? But she very much enjoyed the bonds in Bond Cliff. And we're joking, she was the queen of Bond Cliff. She was up there for like, I think 2 hours or something, just chilling. And she actually had it to herself for like 40 minutes at one point.
You have to give her buy her one of my chairs.
Yes. She could have used a cam chair for sure.
Right. As far as doing it, like, are you like one and done, or would you do it again? Do you think?
I would absolutely do it again. I think me and Jay this is naivety too of not doing it before. I think both of us thought, like I said, we both thought, like I told Peter, I'm like, we'll definitely be at Bond Cliff by 3:30. Like that'll be no problem. And like it kicked our butts, that Garfield Ridge Trail section and stopping for water, and multiple other things. So again, I can't blame it all on the heat. I think some bits too, just not seeing that terrain. But I think it took us 12.5 hours to get to Bond Cliff. And then around, like I said, a little under 17 hours, I think by the time we got back to the car, 16.5, 17. So
yeah, it's respectable for sure.
But yeah, it's the real deal. Our buddy Paul Gam Jr. on Instagram that we know, like that does that every year on his birthday. I'm like, that is a special type of thing to want to do every year on your birthday, especially as you're getting increasing in age.
I have to do it. I kind of regret. I went with Alvaro and Stomp years ago, and I bailed out because I wanted to get home to do fireworks with the family, and I bailed out down like Falling Waters, but I should have just kept going with them so I could check that off. But
you guys did counterclockwise as well? We did
counterclockwise, and it was brutal. It's honestly, like, I think you're right. Like I think that going clockwise is better because you're faced with just these tougher climbs, like that coal between Liberty and Flume is just a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
And it's just tough. I think that going out via the Bonds and Lincoln Woods is a much better way to finish on this. And I think I would rather, even though South Twin is a hard climb, I feel like it's a better climb than the hard climb going the other way is up Garfield Ridge, and you're basically climbing up a waterfall. And I know it was dry, but I'm guessing that like that Garfield Ridge section that you were coming down,
still a little wet,
still wet, right?
Still wet in spots.
It's just terrible.
We were remarking how I'm like, man, this must be really fun to come down at this point, if you're, in either direction, if it's wet. Yeah, it was mossy still in spots on the sides. And actually it was kind of good. It was still wet though, because right above where that spot drops is where there was actually a little pool of water. I was able to get a water bottle in, so that was nice.
Yeah, we were on the 4th of July, and it was like, Brittany, it was like an Indiana Jones movie. I'm like climbing up a waterfall. Like I thought I was getting knocked over. It was crazy. Anyway, but does this inspire you, Brittany, to want to do a single day Pemi Loop?
I've had the Pemi Loop on my agenda for many, many years, but the weather just hasn't worked out. We were trying to do it. I don't think it was during last year's challenge, but the year before, and the weather just wasn't in our favor. But a single day for me, I don't think is in the cards. I've always been planning it, not a single day loop. No. Yeah,
I haven't got to it either. Honestly, like my opinion, I think the best way to do the Pemi Loop is to do it in do 3 days, like two nights, and stay at Lincoln Woods, and then stay at Liberty Springs, and then Guyot is a good option. Or you can go all the way to Garfield or stay at Galehead and then Guyot, do a shorter section. But I feel like there's so many like cool things to see that to rush it in a single day is not. I mean, it's fun and it's sort of like a bucket list thing that you want to knock off. But I think that it's long enough and epic enough where I think like 2 nights is pretty good.
Yeah. It's your point about the epicness. Like Jay had never seen any of that before. like we did a Prezi, so it's like he's seen views in the whites, but like we're on Franconia Ridge and we popped out, like Flume Liberty is kind of like, oh, this is cool. We get out to like that point where you pop out in a little haystack. It's like, wow, this is beautiful. And so it's like, we're also kind of like, we're taking it in. Like it's hard to just like on a beautiful day, just be like, let's turn and burn and be like, I was looking at Garfield on my watch and I'm like, we got to keep going. Like it's funny to look across, but it was humbling. It was beautiful. I felt like we were like in Lord of the Rings or something, like when you look out in the morning at Flume, looking at basically the entire loop. It was wild to be like, as humans, like your legs can go across all that. Yeah. It was pretty wild.
Well, so congratulations.
So Jay had never done any of those peaks?
No, he had never, He had not done any of them. So I was very, his background a little bit is that so in the Prezi thing came out of, he wanted me to do a 50-mile ultra with him in New York that had like 3,000, 4,000 feet of elevation gain. I'm like, I can't commit to that right now. So the Prezi started. And then after we did the Prezi, I was like, if you like that, would you want to try to do a Pemi Loop? So he got into it, but he loved it. He enjoyed it. Said it was difficult, but he the next day he sent me a map for an extended Pemi Loop. So he's like, next year. And I'm like, let's sleep on it a little bit. Yeah.
You should think about the Mahuzik Traverse. That's another one if he wants to do that. And then the Kilkenny would be another one.
That could be a fun one. I'm good with just this for now. But yeah, look up those fastest known times, listeners, if you're curious. It's wild to me after doing that someone busted that out in like 5.5 hours. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fastest known times, I did want to move on to our next segment to talk about Tara Dower. But anything else before we wrap up the Pemi Loop?
No, I don't think so. I really would like to do a So You Want on the Prezi and the Pemi for multi-day, single day at a time. But yeah, I think the one last thing I was going to say with Mike's kind of comment, I think a 2-day overnight would be perfect because you're still breaking it up into like 3,000 foot, 10-mile days, which is still 3 days in a row is a lot of hiking to do. And I would say too, like, don't doubt yourself. I think even if you told me 3 or 4 years ago, I'd be doing that. Like I do run and I'm definitely more in shape than I've probably been in not many years, but probably since like my 20s, early 20s when I surfed a lot and stuff. But like, don't doubt yourself, like go out and do it. I think seeing some of our friends that are older than me doing it, not to call anybody's age out on the podcast, but like seeing like Stomp and Paul and other dudes that have gone out and crushed this in really good times and stuff. Like I was like, I'd need to go out and try this. So it was Brittany, cool.
Nick's in our little crew of guys that go hiking, and we're all like in our 50s and 60s. So he's like the young guy, and he sometimes. So
he's under pressure. He's going to show all you guys up.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also, like, I think he likes it because we'll talk about all this old guy stuff, and he learns a little bit, and then we make fun of him for being the young guy.
Yeah, it's good dynamic.
It's good. Yeah, I was just going to say that. It's good dynamic. You guys need that.
It is. So moving on, so I've got some updates on the fastest known times. There's a lot of activity going on for fastest known times. So I thought that I'd just give a quick rundown, Nick, on the big one here is Tara Dower, who is a ultra runner, ultra hiker. She kind of burst onto the scene. I think she was around before, but she's most well known for breaking the fastest known time, the overall fastest known time for the Appalachian Trail. So she had gone southbound and had broken, the guy's name is Carroll something or other. He had done it in like 41, almost 42 days. He had gone northbound. Last year, Tara broke the overall record by, I think she finished in like 40 and a half days or something. And she was averaging, I think it's 53 miles per day. Nick, is it?
Yeah, I know at the time I looked into it, but I think she was only sleeping like 3.5, 4 hours, like maybe not even a night. But yeah, she was to be able to continue that day after day, she crushed it.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And she, like Nick said, I think her deal is that she's maybe not the fastest, like total speed if you compare her to other ultra runners, but she can go longer. And go without sleep. So she broke that record earlier in the year. There was somebody, I forget his name. He had come close to breaking a record. I think that he was like maybe 2 or 3 days out going northbound and then had an injury. So that's the trick here is like, can you do 50-mile days for 40 days in a row without getting injured, which I think is almost an impossibility. You have to be like a physical like in top shape, and you have to have some good luck too, weather-wise too. But she just hit it perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, you had John Kelly who just kind of had to ditch his attempt. I think he did get fastest time from the beginning of the AT to Washington. So Georgia to Washington, not that I'm sure like he'll come back and try it again. But you look at those guys, he's done the Barclays and done a lot of other races. And I think sometimes you can train for anything, like even trying to think who just completed the Daratessima. Like he had Andrew Drummond. Thank you, Mike. But last year he only made it halfway through it, and this year he did it. Like sometimes I think the mentality and the physicality, like you can train sometimes, and it just does. Sometimes fate just doesn't have it in the cards for you.
Right. But the reason we talk about Tara is she just broke another fastest known time. She did the long trail.
Congratulations.
And, she broke the record by about 3 hours. So it's like 3 days and I think 21 hours was the original record. That was Will Peterson, who had the Daratissima record for a while before Andrew Drummond broke. But Tara did this in 3 days and like 18 hours, the entire long trail. I think it's 200 plus miles. And I'll include this in the show notes, but like there's video and pictures of her finishing. I mean, she's just physically just broke. She just let go at the end. She's crying and she's just falling down. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, congratulations, Tara. Impressive.
So impressive for her. And then there is Christian Captain Morgan is actually attempting to break Tara's record going southbound on the AT. So he started on August 1st. He's currently 20 days in, and I think he had the southbound FKT for a while. It's 45 days, so she broke that by like 4.5 days. Right now, he's about 800 miles in, 19 days into it, so that's about 42 miles per day. So he's going to need to pick the mileage up soon to catch up. But I think the deal is that the mileage average starts picking up as you get into Virginia. So he's in mid-state Pennsylvania right now, and then he'll get into Virginia, North Carolina, and I think that's where you can gain some mileage there. So we'll see. I don't know. He's basically behind pace, but I'm assuming he has a plan.
Yeah, it's funny that the two schools of thought I could imagine with the northern section being worse. Not to kick it back a little bit to the Pemi Loop, but a lot of people I had read that go for those FKTs, like even some have gone counterclockwise on the Pemi because their thought is that as an ultra runner, a trail runner, you can move faster in the beginning with flatter terrain with fresher legs. So I wonder too if it helps him going southbound because he's going to go through the roughest stuff when he has more energy, or if it's going to work out better because he'll be able to pick up the mileage before he's completely torched, I guess, at the end at that point. So I guess it depends on your stamina. These people have incredible stamina, so it's probably not as much of an issue. But
right. I think the conventional wisdom on the AT was that you would start, you'd go northbound because you can start on the flatter sections and build up your stamina, and then when you get to the harder parts, you'll be ready to go. But I think there's also something to be said for getting those tough parts over first, and then recovering on the flatter section. So who knows? I know one thing, Nick. Me and you will not be in this game for fastest no time.
I know a captain. I think I've seen him through like Instagram and stuff doing some other crazy stuff in the whites too. Yeah. So he's probably very familiar with steep, rough terrain.
Yeah, and then there's another guy that is doing a self-supported. So these are supported. They've got a whole team of people, so they're not carrying anything. Jeff Gemeyer is a self-supported AT FKT attempt. He is 12 days in. He's at 551 miles. He's into Vermont right now, and he's trying to break the self-supported record, which is 48 days. Self-supported is essentially like you're just through hiking. Like you can stop at hostels, you can buy food, whatever. You just can't, and nobody can give you anything. So he's attempting to break that. So he's early on, so we'll keep an eye on that one. And then there's an update on Cheswick, who is doing the Triple Crown of through hiking. So he's 111 days in. He's done the PCT, and it looks like he's about halfway done with the CDT. And the record for the Triple Crown of through hiking is 234 days. So he seems to be on pace as well, or he's doing pretty well. So he's about halfway done, and he's got a little buffer time there. So
go Cheswick.
Yep. And then the last thing I'll call out, Nick, is actually we could get an FKT if we wanted to do the Appalachian Trail. The fastest known time for a yo-yo attempt, which is I think when you hike it northbound or southbound, and then you basically do it twice. You go up and down. That record is like over 300 days. So I feel like I could actually do that one and do it faster than 300 days.
So when you retire, I'll join you on some of it and you can do it.
Okay. Sounds good. And then Nick, you've got some stuff. So moving on from the fastest known times, congratulations everyone. You've got some New Hampshire stuff here. So what do we have?
Yeah, this was cool. So this wasn't necessarily new from the AMC, but at least the post that they shared it was. And we'll post the link in the show notes. I thought it was a little YouTube video that was interesting, but there is a new throne in the backcountry. So there was a new privy installed at the Liberty Springs tent site. So if you're up there, there's a nice new purple composting toilet that was installed pretty recently. The video kind of goes into how they sort of, I guess, retrofit these toilets that have been up there for a while. They mentioned that it's been 50 years since the AMC's first composting toilet experiment started on Garfield Ridge. And now they're teaming up with a company called Wasted PBC with a conveyor toilet to bring a cleaner, greener future to the Liberty Springs tent site. There's a big win for hikers and the forest. So it looks like I said, judging by the time frame and there was snow on the ground in the video, they did at some point in the spring. But there's a fresh new throne up there at Liberty Springs tent site if nature calls while you're up there. Though I'm sure it's going to get hit hard by AT hikers.
Yeah, that thing's going to get crushed.
Or already did.
Is there a reason why they chose that like pink purple color?
No, I actually didn't mention that in the video. So I don't know if it was one that they had on hand that's been around the whites or what the deal is with it. But
yeah, I mean, it's cool, but my thought is that like in the dark, it's hard enough. I guess people use headlamps. They can find their way, but it kind of blends into the background a little bit.
This is true. I didn't think of that. You need like a glow in the dark one just in case.
Yeah, and it looks like the hole looks like small enough where and Brittany, you said you're way up in northern Maine. I think this happened up in northern Maine. There was a guy that his thing was like climbing into those like toilets, and he would just hang out at the bottom waiting for people to come in, and that was his thing. So it looks like the hole's not big enough to do that though. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah. I always freak out when I'm driving over the Kankamangas Highway because I always feel like somebody's hanging out underneath those toilets on the way. If you ever stop on any of the stop-offs on the Kank.
Right, exactly.
It always freaks me out.
Yeah. You got to put a flashlight down there to make sure nothing's in there.
Just that and giant spiders or yes. I don't know, anything in
Animals.
there.
Yeah. It's desperate. Look, if you got to use those toilets, it's desperation time, no matter what.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, you never want to see something staring back at you when you're going to use one of those.
No. I need to pull that article. Every couple of years, I pull that article and read it, and then I Google around to see if that guy showed. The story, if I recall, is that he got arrested one time, and then like 3 years later, got arrested again. So he was a known toilet creeper.
Serial toilet creeper.
Got to put that guy away. We can't be having that.
Man. Whatever that guy got born with, I'm glad that didn't strike me because that's.
It's been interesting at like I don't know if it was Fish and Game or the police station, but booking them like he did what? Yeah, he got caught doing what?
Yeah, whatever that kink is, keep it away. Yeah.
That's his thing. Yeah. Anyways,
what else is going on in New Hampshire, Nick?
So I don't think we called this out already. We kind of talked about there's been a lot of bear activity out, and my memory was refreshed when we were actually at the junction of Franconia Ridge Trail and Liberty Springs Trail. There's a little basically piece of paper laminated that says not to leave your stuff there. And that, keep in mind, that's like 4,200 feet. They said that people have had their packs stolen over there on the Liberty Springs tent site side. And then we did want to call out that with all that bear activity in the Pemi, that the Franconia Brook campsite is closed off until further notice. So if you're into Lincoln Woods and you're thinking about camping there, it's off the east side trail on the dead opposite side of the Pemi from basically the Lincoln Woods trail. You can't camp there right now. There's probably like a half a dozen signs along that trail right now, posted by the Forest Service AMC saying like, hey, like, take your pack with you. Don't leave it. Like, even if it's going to be 10, one of them said like, literally, if you're going to leave it for like 15 minutes, like just take it. I guess they're really having problems with the bear in the area. And did check to see if there's any news on them trying. I did basically find that they were looking for the bear, but the irony to me was that this bear, especially the one around the Pemi near Owl's Head, has been showing up even like Mike, like you talk to people who had heard or been tormented at their campsite by bears and stuff, but they're having trouble finding the bear, it sounds like, or the bears in question. So kind of open-ended with what's going to happen out there. I imagine once hikers stop camping there, probably over the shoulder season, the bears will probably find elsewhere for food. But yeah, just be aware, closed until further notice.
I feel like at this point I'm rooting for the bear.
Yeah.
At first I was like, let's get him. Now I'm like respecting his game.
He's like, I'm going to go over to Crawford Notch. I'm done.
I saw, I've gotten a couple of people message me, and then I've also seen it online, is the Liberty Springs camp, caretaker. It has like it's been X number of days since we've had a bear incident. And I think they got up to like 7 or 8, and now they're back to 0. And there was somebody, I think it was online. Somebody left their backpack and the bear got a hold of it. So the bears are looking for backpacks.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think like our theory on the fact that it's the first stop sort of on the AT after people hit Lincoln Woodstock and resupply, and then maybe people just not either having room to store their food because there's so many people on the trail in the bear box, or they're just not choosing to do so. It seems like these bears now, maybe at a generational level, are pretty intelligent and kind of keen on that. So
yeah. And I know that like that guy that got chased on the Bondcliff Trail, he threw his pack at the guy. So that's at least 2 or 3 packs that have been found. And I'm sure that there was some people that lost their packs on the bottom of the Owl's Head slide because that's where he was stalking other people that were camping. So I think that's the deal, is that this bear has been trained to know that like if he can get a backpack off of a human, then, which is scary because something really tragic could happen. We joke around, but eventually if we don't get this thing under control, then somebody's going to get eaten.
I just want to know if it's the same bear that's going between that area or if it's a couple different ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you ready for Slasher's Beer Review?
Anyway, well, Stomp sent us over a gear thing. It's a lava box. I didn't look at this, Nick. Did you look at this one?
No, I'm looking at it right now. This is the one link I did not look into.
I've seen these before. It's basically,
it looks pretty cool.
Do you know that guy that he was big on YouTube? He was like, he would go into the backcountry of Alaska and he would set up a camp and survive. I think he was the Outdoor Boys was his he would bring these. It basically is it's a metal box that assembles, disassembles, and you can set it up and it becomes like this instant fire pit for use. So it's very portable. I think the one that Stomp had sent over, there's a couple of options on them.
They're definitely a little pricey.
Yeah, $250 or $260 up to $600 for these. So now's not the time to use one of these because it's very dry out, and I wouldn't recommend anybody lighting any fires anywhere in the wilderness at this point. But when the fall comes, this is a pretty cool little like portable campfire setup. So check it out, and I'll include it in the show notes. It's called Lava Box, the portable campfire.
I love the marketing points on these. 280,000 BTUs of fire-breathing madness.
Yeah. I have one of those circular ones.
Oh, the solo stoves?
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, those things heat up pretty good. So
those look cool. I always think of those seem to be advertised on all different podcasts at one point.
Right. So
We all know that hiking a mountain can be hard at times. So here's a corny dad joke to help you get over it.
Nick, I was shopping this week. I went to go buy some camouflage pants yesterday, but I couldn't find any.
I don't even know.
Get it? It's a dad joke. I couldn't find any camouflage pants.
Yes.
Because they're
For
hidden.
a second, I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm not going to lie.
I was transitioning to the dad joke segment of the show.
That was good. That was smooth.
Okay.
That was a good
Brittany
one.
laughed.
Yeah.
I'll make it smooth.
I thought I didn't know if you'd picked up hunting. I didn't know where you were going with the joke, but
I was like, to go with your red suspenders for trail maintenance.
Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But what happened to the plant in the mathematics class?
It multiplied?
No, it grew square roots.
Come on.
Kind of close.
Really?
Kind of close.
That's ridiculous. I want to return on that dad joke.
Thank you to Camilla and Lance for my dad joke book. I have to have gone through most of them. That's 365 dad jokes. I'm getting close. So, all right, now is the part of the show where Nick does a music minute, and I think I like this one, Nick. So why don't you proceed?
Yes, I tried to cater to, like I said, I'd take it to the 90s last week and not pick up a new artist that nobody knows. So I do like this album though. So this week's album is A Boy Named Goo by the Goo Goo Dolls, 1995, Throwing It Back. This was the 5th studio album by the American rock band hailing from Buffalo, New York. I had no idea they had that many studio albums before this came out. Apparently none nearly as commercially successful, but they were out kicking around. So this album had the single Name, which pretty much put the Goo Goo Dolls on the map. They kind of set them up for further success. And they also had the singles Only One, Flat Top, Naked, and Long Way Down. Long Way Down was featured in the 90s movie Twister, which I watched many times as a kid. Wow. So that one kind of harkens back to my nostalgia. These songs were on the radio constantly when I was growing up, especially Name. Not to mention when the next album after this one came up, Dizzy Up the Girl, Iris was everywhere. Kind of never liked them, like even in high school. I had friends that listened to them. I think maybe just listened to them too much on the radio and kind of came back a few years ago. I was like, oh, this is great. I actually really enjoy this, and learned to play quite a bit of it on guitar, which I normally do with a lot of music I like. This I'd never heard of. So this was, I know, Mike, you like some controversy, some historical controversy.
Right.
So there was a Walmart controversy when this came out. So on June 5th, 1996, the band's label Warner Brothers released a statement claiming that Walmart had decided to stop selling A Boy Named Goo because some Walmart customers had complained that the album cover was offensive. It's funny, too, compared to what has come out on album covers since then and before then, that they thought this was offensive. But the statement claimed that some customers had incorrectly thought that the child on the cover was smeared in blood rather than blackberry juice. Walmart acknowledged that they had decided to stop selling the album, but denied Warner Brothers' claims that this was because of complaints about the cover art. Instead, ascribing the decision to weak sales, which weak sales seems like a weird pivot to make on that because it was a very successful album. Of the reports, Walmart customers had thought that the child on the cover was smeared in blood. So Johnny Resnick, the singer-guitarist Goo Goo Dolls, said the name on the album is A Boy Named Goo. The picture is of a boy covered with goo. What part of the concept art they unclear on? So I thought that was kind of funny.
That was a very big thing, using like little kids and babies and stuff on album covers, because Nirvana did that, and there was probably some other ones too that I'm thinking of. Like I know, I forget the name of that other group, but yeah, there's a few examples of like little kids on the covers of albums. So I don't know what that's about. Yeah,
I always think of that cover of Nirvana's Nevermind. And I think the kid came out of the woodwork like years later being like, I deserve a piece of this album. Like I didn't know. It's like, okay, buddy. Yeah. Anyways, did want to mention, to commercial success point, this album went double platinum within a year of its release. Platinum, which I never actually looked up before, but makes sense, means that there's 1 million commercial copies of the album sold. So that's including too when the CD burning era and stuff was starting to sort of ramp up, and things like, I think Napster probably was out by that point when people were starting to download digitally. So that says a lot. Like I said, this put them on the map. Their next album, Dizzy Up the Girl, was a huge hit album. This one actually went quintuple platinum within a year. So sold almost twice as much. And that explains why the song Iris was on the radio virtually all the time. I feel like when I was a kid, like I remember getting dropped off at babysitters' houses, going to school. It's a fantastic song, but it was just like, it was like everywhere. Like, I don't know what it was like growing up with the Beatles and other people like that, but I have to imagine, like, it seemed like Iris was on the radio like 10 times a day. So yeah, check it out. Go back to the 90s, A Boy Named Goo.
I have a fun fact about the Goo Goo Dolls.
Ooh, enlighten us.
So I would have been 20. Young Mike would have been, let me do the math here. 72, 82, 92. I would have been 24 years old, Nick. 1996, I went to Providence, Rhode Island with some coworkers and saw the 16 Stone Tour, which is Bush was the headliner.
Okay.
So it was Bush, and then No Doubt and Goo Goo Dolls were the co-openers.
That's
so
cool.
Imagine that, one concert, you can see the Goo Goo Dolls, No Doubt, and Bush.
That's pretty
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly, Bush is probably like the lowest level band out of the three, I would say.
That's wild.
Yeah. Good concert. It was Providence Civic Center.
Yeah, that's a lineup.
I'm retroactively jealous.
Yes. So anyway, so yep. So I was a hip young man, Nick, back then.
I believe you.
Yes. All right. So if you want to get your free stickers, you can do that at Ski Fanatics or Spinner's Pizza Parlor. Go get your stickers, and then if you're interested in swag, you can check out the Slasher swag. So sounds like a search and rescue podcast swag. You can go to our online bonfire shop and choose between super popular hoodies, classic or V-neck tees, and more. The color selection is great, and they are priced to move. Nick is actually wearing a Slasher hoodie right now.
I am. It's a little chilly tonight. I did want to mention as a funny side note, and I think I had sent a picture to you and Stomp a while back, but my wife, who's about 7 months pregnant now, those Slasher shirts don't work too bad for maternity wear. She's actually got a nice tie-dye Slasher shirt.
Nice.
So yeah, there's that.
Excellent. Yeah, and if you want to support the show and help donate, I got a brand new microphone that was bought on donations. You can use Slasher's Buy Me a Coffee site. Go ahead and check that out. And
Hey, hold my beer. It's time to find out what Mike and Stomp are drinking. On this week's Beer Talk.
now's the part of the show where we talk about beer. If we're drinking any beer or any alcohol, I am not tonight. I'm drinking water.
So I have a non-alcoholic Guinness.
Okay, that's good. Are you in solidarity with Ashley because she can't drink?
For a good amount of time. I wasn't on the way back from the bonds.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then Brittany, are you drinking tonight?
I just had a good old fashioned Miller Lite earlier. I might pick another one of those up, but nothing too crazy.
Okay. All right. So we didn't go too crazy tonight. So very good. So now the next part, we already did Nick's recent hike. So I think I can give a little bit of breakdown on my recent hike, and then we're going to do notable listener hikes, and then Brittany, it'll be your moment. And Nick, we may run out of time, so we may skip search and rescue till next week, but we'll see how it goes.
Sounds good.
The Baldface Loop, I volunteered to do trail maintenance. So Nick and I had talked a few episodes before about the training that we did with the AMC to learn all about brushing and all about like blowdowns and all kinds of things. And I've now put that training into practice with adopting a section of the Baldface Loop. So my section is from the summit of South Baldface over North Baldface to Eagle Link, is where the junction of Eagle Link and Mount Meter Trail. I forget exactly what the right term is, but it's a 2.5 miles worth of trail. And I had gone up there earlier in the year to scout it out and had basically realized that like there's not a lot like above tree line. Like you do need to think about cairns and scree walls and things like that, but there's not a lot of need there. There's not a lot of blowdown. So essentially what I need to do up there is to just deal with brushing, which is essentially just dealing with grown in trail. So we've all hiked, and you get to these sections where the trail is just like basically growing in on top of you, and you've got to bust through sections. And when you have that type of situation on trail, what the trail maintenance teams do, the volunteers do, is they cut those sections back so that it's a wider path. So it opens up the corridor for you to walk in mostly unobstructed if you can. So most of my effort, Nick, is going to be just brushing on that 2.5 mile section. There's probably, I would say, about 30 to 40 total sections of anywhere from 100 feet to a couple hundred feet that I've got to clear out. So,
I don't know. Do you actually go to the trail report yet? For like when you file that stuff?
I did. Yeah, I already. Okay, cool. I already did. That was nice. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So, like, what percentage do you think you got through in that first trip, and how many hours did it kind of take you to do brushing?
So, one of the things I'll tell people, like, if you're looking to volunteer for trail maintenance, one thing that you need to factor in that I didn't factor in is it's a significant hike in. No matter which direction I go, it's going to be 3.5-4 miles just to get to the trail where I have to work. So I do think if I could go back in time, like I might have reconsidered which trail I picked, but also I really like the Baldface Loop, so I probably would have stuck with it, but definitely factor that in. But I basically hiked in 3.5 miles. I had a friend with me who was going to do the whole loop, but he bonked because it was insanely hot out. So I sent him down Slippery Brook. We went up the ledges, and then afterwards he was like, I'm just going to head down and chill out by Emerald Pool. So then I had about 3.5 hours where I went from the summit of South Baldface down, and basically along the way, every time I ran into a section that needed to be brushed, I just would, I mostly used like hand clippers and brush back probably 0.7 of a mile, Nick, is what I marked out. So essentially I got from the summit of South to the low point between South Baldface and North Baldface, which is 0.7 of a mile. And I think I probably cleared about 8 sections. The longest section being maybe like 150 to 200 feet of trail. And it is basically just going up one side, clipping those sections down. Some of them were tall up to my shoulders. Some of them were down to my like knees, and just clearing those out with hand clippers, and then coming back along the other side and clearing those out. And then taking a look at the overall trail and seeing like, all right, well, what did I miss? And then going in, usually higher level stuff I would miss. Yeah. But I found it like, I'm like an obsessive compulsive sort of like perfectionist type. So it was really satisfying actually to do that work, and then to step back and look at the trail and be like, oh, this is so perfect now. So,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I was going to say too, how to work out using the hand clippers. And also, is it mostly like, I don't know, not the exact types of trees, but was it like crumbles that you're kind of in, like evergreen type stuff, or is it like little birch, maple, like that type of stuff, like hobble bush?
It was a mix of like blueberry bush type greenery, and then the evergreen stuff. Yeah. And it was okay. It wasn't sticky or anything, but it was just like kind of tedious. So I had the hand clippers with me. So when I say hand clippers, these are basically like, they almost look like a small pair of pliers, but they're sharp, and they can cut like maybe a 1/2 inch worth of branch, which is all you really need for most of this stuff. So I had those with me, and then I had a small shovel to clear drainage. I really didn't have any drainage issues. Okay. And then I had my silky saw in case there's blowdowns, but there's no blowdowns, there's no drainage issues. So I think next time I've actually bought a new pair of like long loppers, because it's, when you're doing trail maintenance, my opinion, it's easier to carry those long loppers. And I got a set. I went online and found the lightest set of loppers that I can find. And what loppers are, they're big, long handles with like a short section to cut. And I did, I bought a 2-pound set of loppers, and then I think that'll help with not having to bend over as much.
Yeah, I had one, again, you have way more trail than I've got, but even with mine, I kind of went through the same thing of like, I just had hand pruning shears at first, and I'm like, this isn't gonna, like, I remember the next day, I'm like, why does my hand hurt so much? But doing that over and over again, it's just not something. But yeah, I think I've got almost the same ones you do, where I don't feel like they're not quite 2 feet long, something like that, but they're kind of that medium in between. But you can kind of, you can kind of use more of your arms though. Obviously, you're not just using like your wrist to try to.
Right. You don't have to bend over.
Hand.
So
yeah.
But then so I wanted to get back to my buddy. So I did 3.5 hours, and like I said, I got about 0.7 of a mile done. And then I just hoofed it down. I climbed up north, and I was sort of marking in my mind, like, all right, I started counting the sections that I need to cut back. When I go back up, I'm going to try to go back up maybe Memorial or Labor Day, and then at least one. I'm going to try to get up one more time, maybe twice.
Yeah.
But I was sort of marking in my head, like, all right, these are all the sections. I started counting how many I had to brush, and it was like, I stopped counting at like 20 sections. So there's a bunch of sections that I have to get. And I think what I'll probably do is, again, do the loop, hike fast to that like bottom col, and then just do from the col between south and north up to north. And then that might take me 3.5-4 hours, and then I'll head down and then do the last section on a second trip. So then if I can get all that brushing done, I don't think there's really much else to be done. There's no blowdowns. There's really not a lot of cairn work that needs to be done, as far as I can tell. And then I don't know if there's any scree wall stuff, but I'll talk to the AMC about that afterwards. But it's basically going to be 2 more trips to do brushing and open up that trail.
Cool. Well, thank you for your trail maintenance, Mike.
Yeah, and no water, nothing at all.
Nothing up there. Yeah, I was gonna say it was really hot, right? Too on Sunday.
Hot.
I know it was like 78 when we left at like maybe like 9:50 in Lincoln on Sunday morning. So
it was like 85 degrees on the summit of North Baldface with no wind. It was brutal.
That's hot. That's nasty.
Yeah, and I carried 3 liters of water with me, and I ran out on North Baldface, and then I didn't have water until I hiked down right before Emerald Pool. So like 1,000 feet maybe.
Wow. Which side of that is the T25 section with the ledges? I know you have to do the whole thing, right?
So if you go clockwise, it's the approach up South Baldface.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still need those. maybe in mid-late September if you want to do another trip, I'll get up with you.
You can do trail maintenance to finish your 52 with a view.
Yeah. Yay.
Oh, hooray.
It's time for Slasher's Notable Hike of the Week. If you want to be considered for the Hike of the Week, simply tag Slasher on your social media post.
All right, let's do the notable listener hikes of the week here.
All right, maybe Brittany can help us out with the notables
you pick,
this
Brittany.
week too.
You can pick.
Yeah, because Mike's just going to want to pick the one with the dog. Not that if you like dogs, that's fine. But
I mean, I'm pretty diehard about a dog too, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay,
I'll try not to be biased.
All right, we'll see how this shakes out. All right, Birches at Deer Park, Monroe for 11 out of 48 via Amanuensis. This was an interesting thing. So they witnessed what is apparently an old tradition of the Dartmouth Outing Club carrying a canoe up to Lakes of the Clouds and canoeing on the lakes before hiking up to Mount Washington. So they said they literally got passed by a canoe. Never had heard of that one before. But
I've heard of that before, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Our friend Paul Lamar, this was on the Friday before I did the Pemi Loop. Franconia Ridge on a gorgeous day with our friend Paul Gamel. I believe they called and termed both of them together Paul Squared, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yep.
But they had a beautiful day up on Franconia Ridge. LB Boyd, overnight hike for Bigelow and Avery Peaks in Maine for the New England 67. Run, Cast, Run, getting ready for the Granite Man Triathlon, which is a triathlon in honor of the MRS member Albert Dow II, who lost his life while searching for missing climbers on Mount Washington in 1982. If you want to hear more about that specific story and its impact sort of on search and rescue in general in New Hampshire, you can read Ty Gagney's book, Lions of Winter, which is an awesome read. So this was our friend Stosh, I believe, from Inside the Lines Catskill Mountain podcast. Sounded like he did a trip. I'm not sure exactly what he was on, if he was doing a Pemi Loop, but this mentioned that day one of an overnight trip, Gale River to Galehead Hut, incredibly hot. Plan was to meet friends on day 2 of their Pemi Loop, but one bailed due to heat, and one did make it there to stay with him with Galehead Hut. He complained, "Where are the Slasher guys?" So I'm sorry, Stosh, if you listen to me being out there, but I didn't go out till Saturday.
I think he was like home basing it from Galehead and just poking around up there. Yeah. I talked to him like a month or 2 ago about it, but damn, I forgot. I'm kicking myself. I would have gone out there.
Yeah. Sorry, Stosh. Well, get out there next time.
Womp.
Try to line it up better. Badham's 1590 finished the 48 on isolation. So congratulations. It's a great peak to finish on. I think it used to be the most common one to finish on, actually, according to the AMC stats. I'm not sure if that's changed. Arlo the Beagle.
What? Arlo? Okay.
You caught me by surprise there. Arlo the Beagle, your buddy, Mike. Arlo the Beagle. I forgot to bold his name in the script. The Kinsmans for 10 and 11 of the 48 up the Fishin' Jimmy Trail. Some people refer to it as a different something, Effin' Jimmy Trail, from what I've heard. But Fishin' Jimmy Trail, rough one, but congrats, Arlo and company for getting up there. Nook 603, Lincoln and Lafayette for 6 and 7 out of 48, out and back via Greenleaf Trail. Certainly a path less traveled to do those out and back from that direction. Very cool. They said they didn't see many people until they got up to sort of close to the ridge. They didn't see too many after. So nice job. The Grateful Hiker, Jefferson for 35 out of 48, said they planned on just Jefferson via Caps Ridge, but they felt great and they went out and back to Washington. So that's a bit of change of plans. They complained a bit that the summit of Washington was a mess. Yes, but shoulder season's approaching, so hang in there. Liz Fay, backpacking trip with Izzy Rizzatano. This sounded pretty cool. So day 1, they did Tremont, Mount Tremont off 302 to Brunel Trail to Owl's Cliff, which I believe is on the backside of Tremont. Then they went down to the Sawyer Pond Trail, took a dip in Sawyer Pond. Day 2, they woke up to owls screeching, so that sounds kind of scary. and they started back on Sawyer Pond Trail, and they did a bushwhack to Greens Cliff and eventually made their way back to Sawyer River Road. So Greens Cliff, I'm pretty sure, is this sort of cliff formation that you can see if you're looking from the summit of Mount Tremont and you have views. You'll see Greens Cliff basically behind Sawyer Pond. It looks like a beautiful area. Like, I've definitely made note to be like, I want to get out there sometime and check it out. So this looked beautiful out there. So eventually made their way back to Sawyer River Road and took a look at the ruins from Livermore. 21 miles and 5,000 feet of gain, and they said they saw surprisingly few people. And I guess a section of that is on that Jigger Johnson race, and they did see 2 ultra runners, but that was it.
Wow. And you know that, so Liz Fay went with Izzy Rizzatano. Izzy Rizzatano, that sounds like a character name from like the Happy Days sitcom back in the
day. It does have a nice ring to it, I will say. There's a nice
cool name.
It's a nice proportion of vowels to consonants there.
Yes.
I like it.
Yep.
And then lastly, we have our friend heart diseased hiker, Baxter State Park trip. They stayed at Roaring Brook Campground. Day 1, they did South Turner Mountain. Day 2 was a washout. And day 3, they did Baxter Peak on Katahdin. And he was with KB Heckman too. And it looks like they had some beautiful weather up there. And congrats. It sounded like he is already itching to get back to Baxter. So that's it. So anything stick out to you, Brittany, as a favorite this week?
A lot of them sound good. I do agree with Fish and Jimmy being the worst trail imaginable, so I understand the nickname. I don't know if that's notable for a good reason or a bad reason, but I always am a fan of Baxter. I'm a diehard Katahdin fan. But I feel like the canoe may be the most memorable hike, if we're really calling it, right? Notable hike of the day. I feel like that's the most notable of all of them.
Yeah.
All right, so Birch's at Deer Park gets a notable. Do we want to do any seconds, Mike?
I would say, let's give the B Adams 1590 for finishing the 4,000 footer in isolation, and then I think probably a shout out for Runcast Run for getting ready for the Granite Man Triathlon in honor of Albert Dow, who lost his life while searching for missing climbers, and that was the subject of Ty Gagney's Lions of Winter book. So.
Yes. And there was much rejoicing.
Yes, very good. Very good. All right. So Brittany, this is your moment. Nick, you're gonna drive this car with Brittany here, but are you ready, Brittany?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. All right.
It's time for Slasher's Guest of the Week. Very cool. Very cool.
All right, so I guess this is the car that we're in, Brittany, right now. So, so Brittany, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. So some of you may have heard me on a few podcasts in the past, but my name is Brittany Wassick, and I am one of the founding members of the Taylor James Steeves Foundation, which was a foundation that was created in 2018 after the loss of one of our best friends who passed away from a genetic form of lung cancer when he was 31 years old. So we've kind of been doing the thing since 2018. We help patients from Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts that have the same genetic diagnosis. And so we're embarking upon Taste Summit Challenge, which is our hiking challenge we do every year to raise money for the foundation.
Excellent. And how many years have you guys been doing Taste Summit Challenge now? Is it third year or?
No, so this is actually the 6th year. Yes.
Okay, I'm new to the party.
Yeah, Nick joined us a few years ago, but we started it in 2020 during COVID, actually, just basically due to necessity. We couldn't meet in public anywhere. We had to try to figure out a way to raise money without actually physically being around anybody. And that was how Taste Summit Challenge was born, and people really loved it. So we've just been continuing to do it since then.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Do you want to go in a little bit more? And I know you've been on like PUDs and you've been on Slasher, but for newer listeners, do you want to delve in a little bit into sort of your friend Taylor's sort of struggle with genetic lung cancer and how that kind of led to this beautiful formation of sort of the whole Taylor James Steeves Foundation?
Yeah. So, it's when I talk about Taylor, it's hard to even describe how amazing of a person he was. He truly was like your classic outdoorsman. He was a White River rafting guide. He hiked all the time. He was a huge fisherman, ice fisherman, fly fisherman, all of the things. He was just large, kind of like one of those people who was a larger than life personality. And when he was 29 years old, he started to have some back pain. Super healthy guy, like you would, athlete. You would never, ever think anything crazy was going on. But time went on, his back pain just started progressing even more and more. And he started to develop a little bit of a cough. So he went to the doctor. They did a chest x-ray to look at his lungs, and they saw a fluid buildup in his lungs. And they were like, well, this is really weird for a 29-year-old. So he went into the emergency room. They did a biopsy, and they found that he had stage 4 lung cancer. And so for, people aren't super familiar with cancer staging, but stage 4 is at the point where it's already metastasized to other organs. And it turns out that he had a rare genetic mutation, which caused this genetic form of lung cancer. So it was called an ALK mutation. But after he got sick, we started to learn a lot more about lung cancer. And it turns out that these genetic forms of lung cancer are becoming much more prevalent in our population, mainly due to development in science. Now they can actually figure out what's causing these lung cancers. But there's numerous different kinds of genetic mutations now, and most often this affects young people who are non-smokers. So I think the real basis for starting the foundation was kind of the antithesis that lung cancer has a really bad rep, essentially, is I think a lot of people have this idea that people who get lung cancer have done it to themselves. And it couldn't be really further from the truth. And as time goes on, we're finding out more and more and more about that. And lung cancer is one of the least funded cancers in our country, but it kills one of the largest amount. So it's very disproportionate. So we saw that there was a need to really help people. And we wanted to help people like Taylor. So that was kind of how the foundation came to fruition. And everything we do is kind of in his honor. He was just the best. He was the best guy.
So it's been great to see how you guys have turned such sort of chaotic event, to say the least, into such a positive. And I was going to say, just to throw it back to why I got involved, I heard you guys on Slasher, I think 2 years ago, or I heard you, Brittany, on Slasher 2 years ago, and about the foundation. And for those of you who don't know, my dad passed away from lung cancer 3 years ago, not a genetic form. But similar boat where, like Brittany was mentioning, I feel like lung cancer, out of a lot of different types of cancers, has this stigma with it where, like, and I'll be honest too, of even my narrow-mindedness, where you're like, oh, people that get lung cancer are people that smoke or like something like that. And like they sort of did this to themselves. My dad was not a cigarette smoker or anything like that. Ended up with lung cancer and similar diagnosis where he had fluid in his lungs and it was stage 4. And like a week later, he was basically gone. So this one really resonated with me. I love the fundraiser that you guys do and kind of the whole story. And it's amazing to hear do you want to talk a little bit briefly too about how you guys were kind of decided to start the Taylor James Steeves Foundation as well?
Yeah. So, he fought his battle for just over a year, with lung cancer. He passed away just after his 31st birthday. And, after he passed away, we have like a very close group of friends. Obviously, this was something new for everyone. Not many people have someone that close to them pass away that young. And so we all got together and we were like, we've got to do something, like, because Taylor was just such a great person. He would have done the same thing for anybody. So we're like, I know that we can help people. And he really struggled when he was sick, because he really just wanted to live the best life he possibly could while he was sick. But he was always riddled with dealing with insurance companies, dealing with money, dealing with, MRIs and insurance saying they're not going to cover this and not going to cover that. So we said, hey, let's try to put something together where we can provide necessities for people who are going through the same thing. And that was kind of how we started the Taylor James Steeves Foundation. We just got together just out of heartbreak, really. It was kind of a very cathartic thing for most of us when we first started, and then it bloomed into something much larger. And over the past, 7 years now. We started in 2018. So now it's got a whole life of its own, and we just try to do the best we can and take care of as many patients as we can.
Amazing. And there's a couple other different fundraisers you guys kind of do throughout the year too as well, right?
Yeah, so we do, we've kind of narrowed it down now. We do 2 large fundraisers a year. So we do a golf scramble in May up at Biddeford Saco Country Club, which is a really, really fun time. So if any of the listeners are interested in golf scrambles, keep an eye out because it's a really fun time. So that one we do in the spring, and then we do the Summit Challenge in the fall. And we do some odds and ends fundraisers in the middle. Like have there's like basically a 90s dance party that's coming up in October that most of the funds are getting donated to us. So if you're interested in that too, I can send over the link for the tickets for that as well. But yeah, we've kind of narrowed it down to 2 big events a year.
Very cool. So what is the Taze Summit Challenge consist of?
So Taze Summit Challenge is an all virtual hiking challenge. So you can participate from anywhere in the globe. We have lots of people that have participated from other countries. My husband and I now plan a trip every fall during the Summit Challenge to a different place every year to get some elevation gain and just to see a new place. But you can hike anywhere. And basically it's a month-long hiking challenge where you track your elevation gained throughout the month. So every hike you do, you're going to have an elevation gained on it. That is what you're tracking throughout the month. And you're fundraising at the same time. And those points basically get combined. And that's how we determine a winner. But the big thing is there's lots of people who are very, very avid hikers on one end of the spectrum. But this is meant for everybody. So we have plenty of people that do it with their kids, do it with all of their families. The whole point of the challenge is just to get people outside and enjoying the mountain. Taylor's big thing, he loved to hike. And like I said, when he was sick, he really prioritized trying to live the best possible life he could. And that included just being outside. It didn't matter what it was. So with Taze Summit Challenge, the whole goal is to just get people to get outside. And we all know September, October is the best time to arguably, some would argue, but for hiking with the foliage and fall. So that's the real goal of the Summit Challenge.
Yeah, I was gonna harp on that. Is that it is like such a beautiful time of year to hike. And even like last year, we were up in Carrabassett Valley. I think by the first week of October, if you go far enough north, whether it's northern New Hampshire or northern Maine, and plan a hike, like you're talking like peak foliage sometimes, depending on how the season goes. So it is an absolutely beautiful time of year to get out there and hike.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the only stipulation that you have to have a route in all trails, that because you guys do it, and I totally get that because everybody's wearing their different GPS sort of tracking devices, but you guys do need some sort of level playing field, if you will, so someone can kind of stack up against hikes.
Yes. Yeah, we've been trying to figure out for years. We've obviously always wanted to figure out how can we do this with Garmin, but you're right, Nick. Every elevation tracker is completely different. If you were to wear an Apple Watch on one arm and a Garmin on the other, and then have your all trails running at the same time, all three of them would say a different elevation gain. So and that was just the only way we could really figure out how to do it to make, like I said, level the playing field, essentially. We know last year we did add, we know there are lots of routes that aren't on all trails now. So you can trace your route before you do it or afterwards and do your own custom route. But that was the only way we've been able to really keep it truly fair. We would love to be able to like give out Garmins to everybody and just do it that way. But unfortunately, as a small nonprofit, we don't have the means.
No, I think it works. It works really well. And yeah, there's like that create custom route feature on all trails. And then you can just like link it on the site. Because generally when you're looking to post these things, it's just all through like Run Sign Up, which I'm sure many of our listeners have been on. If you've ever like if you registered for a race, like pretty good odds in the area, like you're probably on Run Sign Up. So it'll import your profile and do all that stuff. And then you kind of just log basically your elevation gain and what you hiked like each day. And I think you guys asked like you take like a summit photo or something, which is always a fun.
We kind of run it off the honor system, but
yeah. I don't know if you guys were there checking the selfies.
I do check to see if people post them.
Like,
I know that. And I know some people hate sitting at the top of a mountain and like snapping a photo of themselves, which I get, but we're giving away.
I have no problem doing that.
I think it's fine too. You worked that hard, you get up there, but some people, we have gotten a few comments. So like, I wish I didn't have to take a picture every time. Like, well, how else are we going to know you actually did it?
Yeah,
true. So you sign up for All Trails, and then I'm wondering, Nick, I don't know enough about All Trails. I guess I'll learn. Can I take like a GPX file and load it into All Trails?
I think you can. And I think even if you just have All Trails for like free, like you can like the free version, you can do like, it's actually on your computer. You have to do it too. At least I know it. I haven't tried it on your phone, but you can basically pull up a map and it'll be like create map and create custom routes. So
right. It
gives you basically like you can map wherever. But yeah, I would imagine a GPX file would work as well. Usually you can kind of interchange those things, but it gives you good options. So you can literally hike like whatever, like Diamond Hill in Cumberland. I think I got like 15,000 feet on last year just with a 250 foot segment or whatever, because it works. So it's like, I mean, but there's people out there. It's cool to see what routes people are throwing together. And I do want to mention too, like Brittany was saying, it's meant like to get people outside and enjoy in the spirit of what Taylor kind of was wanted. Like you don't have to go out there and be like, oh, I need to get 20,000. Like you can go out there and just enjoy it. And it's also a fundraiser, so you should be out there plugging that too. But it's supposed to just be fun, so you don't have to go crazy.
Yeah, there are always people that do, but yeah, I've done it. This is going to be my 6th year doing it, and I'm just a little bit busier than I used to be. So oftentimes now I can't hit the elevations that I used to in the first few years, but some of the most memorable hikes I've had, the most memorable experiences have been brought on by just the motivation of having the challenge behind you to kind of like kick you into the next gear to plan that stuff. And honestly, some of, like I said, the best experiences I've had have been during Taste Summit Challenge time. So I feel like it's worth it, that extra little oomph to be like, okay, we're going to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. And when you know you actually have kind of a little bit of an extra reason to get up, it's a little added motivation there.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have a nice trip planned this year to kick things off, first Taste Summit Challenge?
Yeah. My husband and we're flying out to Banff. So we'll be there I'm really excited. We've been wanting to go for years. So we're flying in actually the day after the challenge starts. So we have a couple hikes planned while we're out there. We're going to do some fly fishing as well. Cool. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that.
When you do the fly fishing in Banff, do you go with a guide? And don't you have to worry about grizzly bears out there too? Does the guide have a gun with them just in case?
Yeah, we're doing a guided tour.
Okay.
Like, cause we're going out on, like a float, essentially like a float trip. So we'll be, the Bow River is the main river that goes through Banff. So we're going to go on their little float boat down the river, do some fishing, hopefully catch some large fish. I hope so. But yes, grizzlies. My husband makes fun of me because I'm paranoid about black bears in the whites. I'm I get stressed out about it. I'm always talking on hikes. But I've been very, very deep in the rabbit hole of researching grizzly bear safety. So I'm very on top of it. My husband thinks I'm insane, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere in Alberta. So it's really, chances are high that you're going to see one when you go out there. And, we're planning on doing some hikes, which I feel like that's where you always will run into them anywhere. So you have to carry your bear spray on you at all times. But our guide does have all of the bear necessities. Oh my God. That's good. I didn't even mean to say that.
Excellent pun.
Yeah. So I am a little scared about the grizzlies. I have held off on Glacier and Banff literally because of my fear of bears, but I'm gonna get over it.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Excellent. I appreciate that. I need that encouragement.
Yeah, we're gonna be we're going. So it's the weekend after my daughter's birthday, but we're gonna be up in New Hampshire for I think that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something like that. So I'm gonna try to get out for something with my daughter Rylan. Maybe we'll do Pierce or try to do a 4,000 footer. I'm optimistic that she'll do at least some of it. But like you said, it's a good sort of extra perk. So if she's on my back for 2 miles and 2,000 feet, I'll be like, well, I'm doing it for the Taylor James Steeves Foundation and Taste Summit Challenge. So it'll be good motivation.
Props to you. Anybody when I see people carrying a child up a 4,000 footer, I gotta give it up to you because that's wild.
I didn't think that would be me, but then I was like, well, she likes it. So as long as she likes it, we're going to try to get her up there if I can.
The thing about the kids is they don't when you're carrying them, they don't understand center of gravity, sudden movements, all this stuff. They're just unpredictable. So you have to, your core is going to get really strengthened up when you're carrying these kids because they just lean and go everywhere.
Yeah, I've watched you sit in some smaller stuff with her, but she's also getting heavier. And I actually this was a faux pas on my account. But I realized, because she was playing with the backpack maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, that there's little stirrups that actually go out on either side to put her feet in, which kind of helps so her legs aren't swinging everywhere crazy. Because like you said, with kids, like sometimes she's just like kicking around and not like aware, like you're starting to pull me in that direction. So now I can put her feet in the stirrups, and I think she enjoys it more because it feels like she's like on like a horse ride or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of load it in there.
Well, we will. So we'll include in the show notes the Instagram page. We'll include the link to the sign up for Taste Summit Challenge, and then we'll include the link to the Facebook page. So you got all the socials, everything to sign up. I'm going to sign up, Brittany. I'm even going to I'm going to download Ultra. I'm a Gaia person. I'm a Strava person. I'm going to learn how to use AllTrails.
I know. It's hard. I know people's feelings about AllTrails. I get it. I totally understand. I read the 4,000 footer page. I know everybody struggles with AllTrails, but it is the best option for this hiking challenge. And I always just remind people this is for people with cancer. So it's
right.
It's a good option for what we're doing, and it's fun anyway. But AllTrails is super easy to use. Really, I feel like it's one of the easiest platforms. So I also prefer Strava though, so I get it.
Yeah. No, Nick, you've been using AllTrails. Because we talk about this sometimes. Like I have Gaia, you have AllTrails, and
I use it.
Works.
I use it for planning. I think more if I'm just bringing stuff up. And I got it. There was like a deal, like I think 3 or 4 years ago, where you could get it for a really cheap price, like much cheaper than now. I think it was almost half what it is now for whatever the pro version is.
Yeah.
I did it for offline. I was going to make a joke being like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. There's nothing wrong with AllTrails ever that I've ever seen. It's always 100% accurate.
Right.
I can't even say that without laughing. And one thing before I forget, I did want to shout out about the Taste Summit Challenge, not to put you on the spot, Britt, but you guys have awesome swag usually. So like if you're out there and doing fundraising and doing that whole part of the deal, as well as getting elevation gain, the shirts, I still have both shirts from both years I've done it. They don't smell that bad after me running. I don't know who you have do the shirts, but they don't smell that bad after me running and hiking them literally probably 100 times now. I still wear both of them. I was wearing the long sleeve one from 2 years ago today. And those are awesome. And then you guys just have some really great stuff that you always end up giving out, it seems like. So extra encouragement.
Yeah, we try to make it worth your while. If you're going to be out there raising money for us and putting in the work, we just respect the amount of time and effort that it takes. So, what are we doing this year? So we have a great t-shirt this year as well. It's like the same dry wick, moisture wicking material, which is nice to just hike in. But basically, if you fundraise, for every amount that you fundraise, you reach new levels, so you can win new prizes. And that goes all the way up to people that raise $5,000. So the increments are usually like you raise $250, you get a prize. Once you get to $500, you get a second one. Get up to $750, you get a third. $1,000, you get a fourth prize. So this year we're doing, we have some custom buffs that we're doing this year. We have those, I forget the brand name, but the hammocks that, the ones that pack super small that you can hang on.
There you go, Mike.
Enos.
Mike's a hammock guy.
Yes,
I like those.
Enos. We're doing those. We have, what else are we doing? Like an L Bean, like custom L Bean half sip. I don't even know what to call them, but there's some great prizes this year. First prize is going to be, what is the hotel that's right outside not the White Mountain Hotel, but the Glen.
The Glen House?
The Glen House. Yeah, we're doing a $1,000 gift card to the Glen House Hotel for first prize this year. So,
wow.
It's definitely if you win it, it's worth your while.
Awesome. Any last details about the fundraiser, Brittany? Where's the best place for people to sign up?
So you can either go to our website at taylorjamessteeves.org, which I think Mike said he's going to post in the notes for the show. You can also visit our Instagram. You can find you can also search it on Run Sign Up too, I believe. So it's pretty easy to find. Like Nick said, it's on Run Sign Up. So very easy, especially if you've ever done a race before. Super easy to get signed up and get going. But we really, Nick, especially appreciate you. You've done a ton of work for us. We really, really appreciate everything. I mean, Mike, you guys have given us so much of visibility. We've gotten tons of people that have done the challenge year after year just from being on this podcast. So, we've been really grateful and thankful for you guys.
And I'm excited to. I'm gonna beat Nick. I feel like I can beat it. If the baby comes early too, that'll be good.
It's on. It
ends take you off the board.
It ends. So speaking of the time frame too, so it's Friday, September 12th to Monday, October 13th. So it'd have to come pretty early, but that's very well in the realm of possibility. Not that I won't be going far away once October hits. So I will be becoming one with Diamond Hill again, very likely.
True.
We don't want the baby to come early. We want you to get through the challenge, and we want baby to come
October 25th. So
true. Yeah,
just before.
Oh, a little Halloween baby.
Potentially, hopefully not Halloween, but I think we're hoping maybe a little bit early, but not that late.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think, Nick, maybe let's cut it now. We do have some search and rescue, but let's skip those and we'll push those to next week. There's nothing big there. It's just a bunch of people overheating and a few twist and falls. So we'll actually come in under 2 hours tonight. It'll be a miracle.
That sounds good.
So excellent. So I'm going to go and I actually have a motivation. My wife and kids all came home, so they're walking around with like little bandages on them. So I want to see what's going on with the tattoos. So I'll report back next week.
Yes, I want to hear about the tattoos.
Good. Yes,
sounds good.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you on 207.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to learn more about the topics covered in today's show, please check out the show notes and safety information at SLASRPodcast.com. That's SLASR podcast.com. You can also follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next week for another great show. Until then, on behalf of Mike and Stomp, get out there and crush some mega peaks.
Now covered in scratches, blisters, and bug bites, Chris Staff wanted to complete his most challenging day hike ever.
Fish and Game officers say the hiker from Florida activated an emergency beacon yesterday morning. He was hiking along the Appalachian Trail when the weather started to get worse. Officials say the snow was piled up to 3 feet in some spots, and there was a wind chill of -1 degree.
And there's 3 words to describe this race. Do we all know what they are?
Lieutenant James Nealand, New Hampshire Fish and Game. Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see people make when they're heading out on the trails to hike here in New Hampshire?
It seems to me the most common is being unprepared. And I think if they just simply visited hikesafe.com and got a list of the 10 essential items and had those in their packs, they probably would have no need to ever call us at all.